What would you do if the man you once loved and thought you'd never see again suddenly walked back into your life, completely unaware that he had a son? Olivia, a hard-working maid at a luxury hotel, has spent 6 years shielding her little boy Noah from the truth about his father, billionaire James Harrington. But when fate brings them face to face in Suite 303, the hidden identity and the weight of their past collide. Stay tuned to witness how secrets unravel and the fight for family begins. A single tear slid down Olivia's cheek as she wiped the last marble tile in the grand lobby of the Empire Crown Hotel. It was nearly midnight, and the bright chandeliers reflected on the spotless floor, mirroring her exhaustion. She had been working tirelessly all day, ensuring every corridor, suite, and salon gleamed with the kind of pristine perfection that the hotel's elite guests demanded. At 26, Olivia often wondered how life had led her to this exact moment, kneeling by a marble floor in an opulent New York luxury hotel, wearing a maid's uniform and carrying the weight of a secret that haunted her every waking hour. Outside, the rain pummeled the city streets, a relentless downpour that matched Olivia's inner turmoil. In the distance, drivers honked impatiently as they navigated traffic near Times Square's neon glare. Inside the hotel, however, all remained hushed except for the occasional footsteps of security passing by. Olivia sighed as she placed her cleaning rag into the bucket of soapy water, realizing she had only minutes left before her shift ended and a manager would come by to verify her work. Her thoughts drifted to her little boy, Noah, who was likely already asleep in their small rented room across town. The image of his bright eyes and innocent smile warmed her heart, even after such a grueling day. Noah had just turned 6, and every day he reminded Olivia of both her greatest joy and her deepest pain. Olivia had raised him alone from birth, never once mentioning his father's name in front of her coworkers or admitting to anyone in the city that Noah's father had no idea he existed. Standing up, she massaged the small of her back. Being a single mother demanded an almost superhuman level of strength. Nights like these, when she felt physically spent, her mind clung to the promise of tomorrow. Noah deserved a better future than a cramped apartment and a mother who rarely had time to catch her breath. But for now, this was her reality, and Olivia refused to complain. She had known adversity from a young age, growing up in a rural town, leaving home at 17 in search of opportunities, and crossing paths with heartbreak and betrayal. Yet the greatest trial had been the day she realized that the father of her unborn child was beyond her reach, both emotionally and financially. A whisper in her earpiece startled her. "Olivia, front desk calling. Please finish with the suite checkups on the 30th floor. Our VIP guests are arriving tonight. Make sure everything's impeccable." She responded with a polite acknowledgement and set off to the service elevator, her cart of cleaning supplies rolling in front of her. The elevator doors opened into an elegant corridor lined with framed artwork and plush carpeting that absorbed every footstep. Suite 303, she noted, was the farthest corner. Working in such close proximity to wealth sometimes made her feel like an outsider in a world that wasn't hers, but the job was stable and the pay was just enough to keep food on the table for her and her son. Moments later, Olivia found herself in front of the imposing double doors of Suite 303. The suite was rumored to be reserved exclusively for the wealthiest clients, celebrities, foreign dignitaries, and magnates whose fortunes spanned multiple continents. She had never cleaned it before. A more senior maid usually handled the VIP floors. Tonight, though, schedules had changed and the responsibility fell to her. The door glided open with a stated click. As soon as Olivia stepped inside, she felt a wave of intimidation. The suite was enormous, featuring floor-to-ceiling windows that showcased the city's sparkling skyline, a marble foyer, and the hush of thick, luxurious drapes. A grand piano stood by the far window, and the faint scent of fresh orchids lingered in the air. On a small glass table near the plush sofa lay an array of business magazines and financial newspapers. Everything was perfect. Her job was simply to confirm that the suite was immaculate for the upcoming VIP arrival. But something felt peculiar in this space, an indescribable heaviness, as if fate itself had guided her into these rooms. She began her routine with professional rigor, checking the linen closet, restocking the bathroom's top-tier toiletries, and adjusting the decorative pillows. As she passed the master bedroom, she noticed a row of fresh designer suits hanging in the walk-in closet. Several pairs of polished shoes were lined up meticulously below. Strange, she thought. The manager had insisted the VIP guest would arrive later, yet someone's wardrobe was already here. Perhaps a personal assistant had arrived in advance to prepare everything. With a shrug, Olivia continued her inspection. She moved to check the private terrace, noticing the distant hum of city traffic and the swirling storm clouds above. New York glowed with countless lights, a mix of possibility and heartbreak that she knew all too well. Just then, the suite's door clicked open from the foyer side. Olivia froze. No one was supposed to be inside. Yet she had an instant urge to hide. She wasn't expecting the guest to arrive at this hour and felt awkward being caught mid-inspection. Carefully placing her cleaning cloth aside, she peered around the corner. A tall figure in a sleek charcoal suit entered, accompanied by two men who appeared to be bodyguards. The overhead light outlined a confident posture, broad shoulders, and a sharp, expensive haircut. Olivia's heart pounded at the realization that the occupant had arrived far earlier than planned. She took a step back, determined to slip out quietly without making a scene, but as she retreated, her shoe squeaked against the marble, echoing throughout the silent suite. The man turned, startled by the unexpected noise. Their eyes met in a moment that stretched longer than a heartbeat. Olivia's breath caught in her throat, and for a split second, she thought her mind must be playing tricks on her. The face in front of her was both achingly familiar and incomprehensibly distant. It was James Harrington, a name known to the entire country as a billionaire investor. The same man Olivia had met almost 7 years ago in a whirlwind night she had never truly recovered from. He froze, an expression that teetered between shock and confusion crossed his face. Time seemed to stall as recognition flared behind his steel blue eyes. James stepped forward, his once boyish features now sharpened by years of ambition and success. Olivia's knees nearly buckled beneath her as her mind swirled with memories of that single evening filled with warmth and laughter, dashed hopes, the ensuing heartbreak, and the silent sacrifices that led her to raise her son alone. Noah's father, the man who vanished from her life, was now standing inches away, and he had no idea about the child who bore his last name in secret. In the silence of Suite 303, a whirlwind of emotions surged within Olivia. She felt a mix of fear, anger, and longing, all colliding in her mind like waves crashing against a shore. The man standing in front of her was not just someone from her past. He was the father of her child, a child he didn't even know existed. Memories of their brief encounter flooded back, the laughter, the hopes, the way he had made her feel alive. But now, standing here, all those feelings were overshadowed by the weight of her secret. Olivia's heart raced, her breath uneven as she struggled to find the words. She wanted to run, to escape this unexpected confrontation that threatened to unravel the quiet life she had built for herself and Noah. The tension in the room thickened, pressing down on her like the storm raging outside. She had spent years protecting her son from the truth, and now fate had thrust it into the open. James looked at her, confusion etched on his face, his brows furrowing as he tried to process the situation. "Olivia?" he managed to whisper, his voice thick with disbelief. It was a name he hadn't spoken in years, yet it hung in the air like an unfulfilled promise. She knew he was searching her face for answers, but all she could do was stare back, her mind racing with unspoken thoughts. I didn't expect to see you here," she finally stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. The professional demeanor she usually maintained felt like a fragile mask, one that could shatter any moment. She clutched her cleaning rag tightly, as if it could provide her with the strength she needed. James took a step closer, his expression softening. "It's been a long time," he said, his tone almost pleading for understanding. "I thought about you often. I tried to find you after, but things got complicated." Olivia's heart ached at his words. She had spent years convincing herself that he had simply moved on without her, that she had been just a passing fling in his glamorous life. "Complicated?" she echoed, her voice trembling with emotion. "You disappeared without a word. I had no idea what had happened to you." "I know, and I'm so sorry," James replied, his eyes searching hers. "My father fell ill, and I had to leave suddenly. I thought I'd be back in a week, but everything spiraled out of control. I didn't know how to reach you." Olivia felt a flicker of empathy for him, but it was quickly overshadowed by her own pain and anger. "You don't understand," she insisted, her voice rising slightly. "I was left to pick up the pieces. I didn't have anyone to turn to. You weren't just a fling to me. You were everything. And now..." The words hung between them, heavy with unspoken truths. Olivia's thoughts drifted to Noah, the little boy who looked so much like his father. Would James want to be a part of their lives? Would he accept Noah or resent her for keeping him a secret? The fear of what revealing this truth might mean for her son gripped her heart. As if sensing her turmoil, James stepped back slightly, giving her space. "I want to understand," he said softly. "I need to know what happened after that night. Why didn't you wait for me?" Olivia swallowed hard, the question weighing heavily on her. She had rehearsed this moment in her mind countless times, yet now that it was happening, the words felt trapped in her throat. "I didn't think there was a place for me in your world," she finally admitted, her voice quivering. "You come from a life of wealth and responsibilities. I barely had enough to pay rent. How could I fit into your life?" James' expression darkened with regret. "I never meant to abandon you," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "I thought about you every day. If I had known..." "Known what?" Olivia interrupted, her frustration bubbling over. "That you had a child? That you left me alone to figure everything out? You didn't even try to find me." Silence enveloped them, the tension thick and palpable. The storm outside raged on, a perfect mirror of the chaos inside Olivia's heart. She felt a storm of emotions, anger, betrayal, longing, swirling around her, and for a moment, she couldn't breathe. Finally, James broke the silence, his voice low and earnest. "I want to be there for you, for Noah. There's even the slightest chance for us to move forward, I'd like to try." His plea hung in the air, filled with hope and uncertainty. Olivia's heart raced at the implications of his words. Could she trust him? Could she allow this man, who had once been her greatest joy and deepest pain, back into her life? The choice felt monumental, a decision that could change everything for her and Noah. As lightning flashed outside, illuminating the suite in a brief, stark light, Olivia realized that fate had opened the door they both thought was sealed forever. They stood at the precipice of a new beginning, one that could either bind them together or tear them apart. The future felt uncertain, but for the first time in years, Olivia felt a flicker of hope. As the storm raged outside, Olivia's heart raced with uncertainty. Here stood James, the father of her child, and the weight of their shared past loomed heavily over her. She felt both hope and fear swirling within her, battling for dominance. Could she really trust him after all these years? Would he embrace Noah or turn away from the responsibility that came with knowing he had a son? "I need to know what you're thinking," James said gently, his steel blue eyes searching hers. "I realize this is overwhelming, but we can't ignore what's happened. I want to understand everything." Olivia took a deep breath, feeling the gravity of the conversation. "It's complicated," she admitted, her voice trembling. "I've built a life for Noah and me, and I've kept him safe from the truth about you. I've had to make sacrifices, and I worry that if you know about him, everything will change." James's face softened, a mix of regret and determination washing over him. "I can't change the past, Olivia, but I want to be a part of Noah's life. I didn't even know he existed until now. I would have tried to be there for both of you if I had known. Tears pricked Olivia's eyes as she considered his words. She had spent so long protecting Noah, shielding him from the truth and from the pain of abandonment. The thought of James stepping back into their lives was both terrifying and exhilarating. What if he doesn't want to meet you? She whispered, her heart aching at the thought. What if he feels overwhelmed? James nodded, absorbing her concerns. Then we take it slow. We can introduce ourselves to him in a way that feels comfortable. I don't want to disrupt his life. I want to be a part of it, but only if he's ready. The idea of introducing Noah to his father felt monumental. Olivia envisioned the day when she would have to explain who James was and what that meant for their little family. She couldn't help but worry about how Noah would react. Would he accept this new reality? Would he feel confused or betrayed? I've thought about what it would be like for Noah to have a father, Olivia admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. But I never imagined it would be like this, with all the media attention and the potential for chaos. James reached out, gently taking her hand in his. I'll do everything in my power to protect you both, he promised, his voice steady and reassuring. I won't let anything come between you and Noah. I understand the stakes, and I'm committed to being there for you. Olivia felt a flicker of warmth at his words. Perhaps he truly meant it. Perhaps he was willing to step up and be the father Noah deserved. Yet doubt still crept in. What if the media finds out? What if they try to exploit this situation? She asked, her anxiety bubbling to the surface. James's expression hardened with resolve. We'll handle it together. I have a team that can manage the press. If it comes to that, we'll control the narrative on our terms. But for now, our priority should be Noah. With every word, Olivia felt the wall she had built around her heart begin to crack. Maybe this was the beginning of something new, a chance to create a family, to build a life where Noah could know his father without the shadows of their past looming over them. I just want to protect him, Olivia said, her voice firm yet vulnerable. He means everything to me, and I won't let anything disrupt the life we've carved out together. I understand, James replied, his grip on her hand tightening slightly. And I want to be part of that life, but I need you to trust me. We can take this one step at a time. Olivia nodded, feeling a mix of fear and hope. The road ahead would be fraught with challenges, but for the first time in years, she felt a glimmer of possibility. Together, they could navigate the complexities of their situation, and perhaps, just perhaps, they could forge a new path forward, one that included Noah and the love they both shared for him. As the storm continued to rage outside, Olivia took a deep breath, ready to face whatever came next. She was no longer alone in this fight, and that thought alone filled her with a sense of strength she hadn't felt in a long time. The atmosphere in Suite 303 remained thick with unspoken words as Olivia and James began to navigate the reality of their situation. The storm outside continued to rumble, mirroring the turbulence in Olivia's heart. She had spent so many years alone, carrying the weight of her secret, and now here was James, wanting to step into her life and Noah's. I want to help you, James said, breaking the silence. I know this is all sudden, but I need to know how you've been. What's it been like for you and Noah all these years? Olivia hesitated, searching for the right words. It's been hard, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. I've worked multiple jobs to make ends meet. I've tried to give Noah everything I can, but it hasn't always been easy. There were nights when I'd sit up worrying about how we'd pay the bills or where our next meal would come from. James listened intently, his expression softening as he absorbed her words. You've done an incredible job, he said earnestly. I can see that. And is lucky to have you as his mother. Her heart swelled at his acknowledgement, but the weight of her secret loomed large. He doesn't know about you, Olivia continued, her voice trembling slightly. I've never told him about his father. I didn't want to confuse him, and I didn't know how to explain it. James nodded, understanding the gravity of her decision. I can't imagine how difficult that must have been for you, he said gently. But if we're going to move forward, we need to be honest with him. He deserves to know his father, but we have to do it carefully. Olivia felt a mix of fear and hope at his words. The idea of introducing Noah to James was daunting, but she couldn't deny the longing in her heart for her son to know the man who shared his blood. "How do we even begin?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. "What if he's scared or angry? What if he doesn't want anything to do with you?" James inhaled sharply, his determination shining through. "Then we take it slow. We introduce ourselves in a way that feels safe for him. I don't want to pressure either. I want to build a relationship with him, not force one." Olivia felt a flicker of relief at his gentle approach. "You're right. We have to be careful. I don't want to disrupt his life any more than it already has been." James reached across the small table, his hand covering hers. "We'll figure this out together. I'm here for both of you, and I won't let anything come between us." The sincerity in his eyes made Olivia's heart race. She had spent so many years feeling isolated, and now with James in her life, there was a glimmer of hope for a brighter future. "Thank you," she whispered, feeling the weight of her fears begin to lift. "I want to believe you, but I'm scared." "I am too," James admitted, his voice softening. "This is all new for me as well. I've missed so much time, and I don't want to miss any more. We can take it one step at a time." As they sat together in the suite, the storm outside began to abate, the thunder rolling away into the distance. Olivia felt a sense of calm wash over. The road ahead was uncertain, but for the first time, she felt like she wasn't walking it alone. Together, they could face the challenges of the past and the complexities of the future. The bond they shared through Noah was powerful, and it had the potential to heal the wounds of the past. Olivia squeezed James's hand, a silent promise to work together and find a way to create a family, no matter the obstacles that lay ahead. In that moment, surrounded by the remnants of the storm, Olivia dared to dream of a life where they could all be together, where Noah could know his father, and where she wouldn't have to fear for their future. The possibilities felt endless, and the hope that had been buried for so long began to bloom once more. As Olivia left Suite 303, a sense of urgency settled in her chest. The conversation with James had stirred a whirlwind of emotions, but now the looming threat of the media and the blackmailer hung over her like a dark cloud. She had to consider every angle carefully. Noah's safety was her top priority, and she couldn't afford any missteps. The next morning brought a persistent drizzle that mirrored Olivia's anxiety. She stood in her small kitchen, stirring oatmeal for Noah, her mind racing with thoughts of how to shield him from the chaos that might ensue. Each buzz of her phone sent her heart racing, half expecting a message from James about new developments regarding the blackmailer or the press. "Mommy, can I watch cartoons?" Noah's hopeful voice broke through her thoughts. She turned to him, forcing a smile even as her mind churned with worries. "Sure, sweetie, but just for a little while. We have to leave soon." After breakfast, Olivia walked Noah to school, her eyes scanning the streets for any sign of lurking paparazzi. The driver James had arranged for them waited patiently at the curb. Olivia took a deep breath, reminding herself that she was doing everything she could to protect her son. Yet, the unease settled in her stomach like a heavy stone. The day dragged on at work, and Olivia focused on her tasks, trying to maintain a sense of normalcy. But whispers among her co-workers about the recent media buzz only heightened her anxiety. She could sense their curiosity, and it made her heart race. What if they found out about her connection to James? As she scrubbed the marble floors, she couldn't shake the feeling that their lives were teetering on the edge of a precipice. The blackmail situation loomed large, and the thought of Noah being dragged into it was unbearable. Olivia's mind raced with scenarios. What if the tabloids got a hold of the story? What if they discovered Noah's existence and plastered his face all over the news? That evening, as she picked Noah up from school, she felt a flicker of hope. They had managed to avoid any trouble so far. Noah chattered excitedly about his day, oblivious to the tension that surrounded them. Olivia smiled at his enthusiasm, but her heart remained heavy with the weight of their reality. Once home, she quickly settled Noah into a routine, helping him with his homework and making dinner. The familiar rhythm of their lives brought her comfort, but it was tinged with the knowledge that everything could change in an instant. Noah was blissfully unaware of the storm brewing outside their small apartment, and Olivia was determined to keep it that way for as long as possible. Later that night, as she tucked Noah into bed, he looked up at her with wide, trusting eyes. "Mommy, do you think my dad will ever come back?" The question pierced Olivia's heart, and she hesitated, unsure of how to respond. "Maybe someday, sweetheart," she said, forcing a smile. "If he does, I'll be with you every step of the way, okay?" Noah nodded, his eyelids drooping as he drifted off to sleep. Olivia lingered by his bedside, her heart heavy with the weight of the truth she had yet to reveal. She wanted nothing more than for Noah to have a father who loved him, but the fear of what that could mean for their lives loomed large. After Noah fell asleep, Olivia sank into the sofa, her phone still beside her, a silent reminder of the connection she had with James. She felt the weight of their situation pressing down on her. Would they be able to keep everything under wraps? Would they find a way to protect Noah from the chaos that was sure to follow? As the night wore on, Olivia's thoughts spiraled into a mix of hope and dread. The blackmailer's threat had the potential to upend their lives, but she also felt a flicker of hope at the idea of James being involved in their lives. Together, they could face the challenges ahead, but first, they needed to figure out how to keep Noah safe. With a heavy heart, she whispered a silent plea to the universe, hoping that whoever lurked in the shadows would remain unaware of the child sleeping so peacefully in the next room. She needed to believe that they could navigate this storm together, protecting the fragile happiness they had built. The fight for their future had just begun, and Olivia was ready to face it head on, no matter the cost. The morning sky was a muted gray, hinting at the rain that had soaked the streets overnight. Olivia stood in her cramped kitchen, watching Noah finish a dinosaur-themed puzzle on the coffee table. Her heart felt heavy with the knowledge that their lives were on the brink of change, and she could hardly shake the anxiety clinging to her. "Mommy, I'm missing a piece," Noah exclaimed, his little face scrunching up in frustration. Olivia crouched down beside him, her heart swelling at his determination. "Let's see if we can find it together," she said, scanning the floor for the elusive piece. Sure enough, it poked out from under the couch, and she handed it to him. "Here you go, bud." "Thanks, Mommy. You're the best." Noah beamed, and for a moment, Olivia felt the weight of the world lift. She had worked hard to create a loving home for him, and she wanted nothing more than for him to remain blissfully unaware of the storm brewing outside. After breakfast, Olivia readied herself for the day ahead. She couldn't shake the apprehension that hung in the air like a thick fog. The blackmailer's threat loomed large in her mind, and she knew the media could pounce at any moment. Her phone buzzed, and she quickly checked it, half expecting a message from James. Nothing. She felt a pang of disappointment, but pushed it aside. The drive to Noah's school was uneventful, and Olivia felt a flicker of hope as they arrived without incident. She walked Noah to the entrance, glancing around for any sign of lurking cameras. "Remember, sweetheart," she said, kneeling down to his level. "If anyone asks you questions or makes you feel uncomfortable, tell your teacher and then me, okay?" "Okay, Mommy," Noah replied, his eyes wide with trust. He ran off to join his classmates, and Olivia watched him disappear into the throng of children, her heart aching at the thought of how much she wanted to protect him from the world. Once Noah was safely at school, Olivia returned to the waiting car, her mind swirling with thoughts of the potential fallout from the blackmailer's threats. As she arrived at the Empire Crown Hotel, the atmosphere felt charged with tension. She went through her routine, focusing on her tasks while trying not to let the whispers from her coworkers affect her. Throughout the day, Olivia's thoughts drifted back to James and the uneasy alliance they were forming. Would he really be able to help shield them from the media? As she scrubbed the marble floor, she couldn't help but feel a flicker of gratitude for his support. That evening, after a long shift, Olivia returned home to find Noah sprawled on the couch, happily watching cartoons. Relief washed over her to see him content and unaware of the complications surrounding their lives. "How was your day, buddy?" she asked, ruffling his hair. "Good. We learned about T-Rexes today," Noah replied, his excitement palpable. Olivia smiled. her heart swelling with love for him. After dinner, as she tucked Noah into bed, he looked up at her with bright eyes. "Mommy, will my dad come back soon?" he asked, his innocence piercing Olivia's heart. "Maybe someday," she said softly, forcing a smile. "If he does, I'll be right here with you." Olivia lingered in the doorway, watching Noah drift off to sleep, his peaceful face bringing her comfort. She knew that soon she would have to confront the truth, but for now, she wanted to hold on to this moment of normalcy. Later that night, as she sat on the couch with her phone beside her, Olivia felt the weight of uncertainty press down on her. She wanted to reach out to James to discuss their next steps, but fear held her back. Would he still be committed to helping them if the media storm broke? As the minutes ticked by, Olivia thought about the life she had built with Noah and the sacrifices she had made to protect him. The thought of introducing James into their lives was daunting, but she knew it was a necessary step. They had to be ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. With a deep breath, she whispered a silent prayer for clarity and strength. The world felt fragile, but she knew she wouldn't face it alone. The bond between her and James was beginning to form, and for the first time, she felt the stirrings of hope. They would protect Noah together, and maybe, just maybe, they could create a future that included the love of a father. As she turned off the lamp and settled into bed, Olivia allowed herself to dream of a day when they could all be together, a family forged from the ashes of their past. The journey ahead would be difficult, but she was ready to fight for the happiness they all deserved.